Hello everyone, and welcome to my July garden tour. It is currently 71 degrees 22 Celsius outside on an overcast July 2nd. It hasn't gotten hot yet because it's still pretty early in the morning, so thought I'd get out here and get the video done early so I don't have to sweat too much while doing it. I am in the corn, and it goes way down and way up. This was knee-high in the last video, and it is now, the tallest stalks are probably over 10 feet tall. It'll be maybe 12 feet tall by the time it finally finishes completely tasseling out. It is just starting tasseling out. You can see some tassels up there if you look very closely. I haven't seen any silks yet, but I haven't really been looking. This is field corn. The variety is Jimmy Red. So it does grow taller than a typical sweet corn. A lot of these open pollinated field corns are quite tall. So there's been a lot of growth, as you can tell. Let's just take a look at some of it here. These tomatoes, they're getting pretty heavily shaded at this point because they've got the tall corn on one side and some butternut squash on a trellis on the other side. They are putting on some fruit, but I haven't gotten any ripe yet. June was very rainy, so there's been a lot of growth, including weed growth. You can see plenty of weeds here. So I got some butternut squash going here. That's a very small one. It hasn't come very far along yet. I do have an interesting problem with the butternut squash. That one, well, the forms on them are a little strange because apparently I had some pollination issues last year when I saved seeds. So I have sort of a wild mix of different squash shapes and sizes here. Here you got a typical butternut shape, a flower, and a visit. But if we go down the row here, I've got some more interesting ones. So this one is more of a pumpkin shape. It'll probably make a tan kind of pumpkin with a slightly wider at the bottom appearance. These are more sort of a slightly longer neck on them, more of a fat bottom butternut, sort of a bell shape. Your typical butternut shape. Okay, now this one's pretty impressive. This is going to be huge. And there are a couple of these. But you can see this one's got a little bit of a color on it. I think it's going to probably lighten up as it matures, but it's obviously going to be a substantial squash. I think eating quality isn't going to be affected too much on these, but some of them might have different storage characteristics. There's one that looks like it didn't get adequate pollination, or maybe the plant's just got a lot on it and it's decided not to mature that one. Let's see here. Okay, this one is more of a rounded pumpkin shape. It's still a little bit wider at the bottom, but pretty round. So I'm going to have a wild variety of shapes on these. Now, this is an open pollinated variety. It's Walton butternut. I didn't save seeds from a hybrid squash. I apparently just got some cross-pollination from somewhere along the way. So here we've got sweet potatoes. They have grown all the way up to the trellis and are kind of going wild. This is about as big as they will get. in this trellised environment, I'll have to take and trim them every once in a while. Nice flowers, lots of them. Oregano in amongst weeds. Stevia. Lemongrass is getting tall and bushy. This is Egyptian spinach. It's got a lot of leaf damage on it. We have Japanese beetles here, and it is the season for them. They're not as bad as they used to be, but anything in the mallow family, and this is in the mallow family, tends to get pretty heavily attacked. I did find some intact leaves and sauteed them in a little butter. They were pretty good. Lots of squash flowers. And visitors. So all of my basil has died off at this point. I haven't replaced it yet. So amaranth has gotten really tall. Still very bug eaten. You can see the culprit right there. It's not a flea beetle, it's some little insect that I really need to take a closer look at. But I haven't treated it or anything. I don't know if I'm going to get any grain off of this or not. We'll see. Continuing along, beans have gone kind of wild in the row here. They do need weeding. Tomatoes, a fair number of cherry tomatoes ripening in here. I've been getting maybe a pound or two of them per day, those little cherry tomatoes. And I don't see as many. There's one beginning to turn right there. The Amish paste and the Celebrity Plus, I occasionally get those. Accumulate them over a few days and then process and freeze them. I'm planning on making spaghetti sauce with them at some point, but for now I'm just freezing them to keep them. So sorghum is also tall like the corn, not quite as tall. I have gone through this row. You can barely tell. There are 3 rows here. The one that is closest here, I've gone through and cut out every other plant and processed it. It's not quite ready yet, so the yield was pretty low. I do plan on doing a video of the processing on the sorghum. This chilacayote, not flowering. I suspect it's day length sensitive on the flowering, so it may not flower until just before frost. We'll see though, maybe I'll get something out of it. This heap is the Egyptian walking onions. They have collapsed at this point. I'm going to clean them up and replant them at some point. For the moment, they're just kind of in a pile there. So, peppers, getting lots of peppers. These plants are 3 feet, maybe even a little taller. Call it a meter tall. Pretty good. Peanuts, they're growing a little taller. You can see right there, that red structure is the spike that will go in the ground to form a fruit. They're not really laying down as flat as I would expect, so that might affect yield. Sweet potatoes doing a very good job of shading these bins. They go all along there and they just cascade down the sides of the bins. Different kind of peppers, cayennes in this case. So we now have a mostly empty spot in the garden where the sweet corn was. I harvested all the sweet corn, got 19.6 kilograms, about 43 pounds of creamed corn put up in the freezer. So nice harvest of tasty sweet corn. Over there I am building a new bin. It's getting woody material in the bottom of it yet. So far, it's just wood that's going to fill it maybe 2/3 full before I put some compost on top. Over here, let's see. Parsnip still growing. Carrots, I need to dig all of them. The soil has gotten a little too hard to dig them up as it has dried out. Lots of weeds. Lettuce is flowering. This plant is a little further behind. A high wind came through and broke off the first flower stalk, so I've had to let it flower a little more. This one I've harvested a bunch of seeds off of, but I'm continuing to get seeds as they go along. Pulled up all of my bulbing onions. They were looking pretty good. This, however, is not looking good. This is fava bean or broad bean. The pods have all turned black, and you might think that means they're mature, but they're really not. They're still sort of squishy in here, and the seeds have not really matured. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get anything out of it. It's just very hard to grow these in this climate. So this is where the oats was. It's all the stubble now. I haven't replaced it yet. Second crop of amaranth, definitely growing pretty well. Second crop of okra, it's beginning to grow fairly well. The first crop we'll get to in a minute. So this is where the wheat was. The wheat has been harvested. I am working on a video for the wheat. I'm not done processing it yet though, so I haven't finished it. It has been replaced with Gallia melons and weeds, but I'll have to come through here and get that grass out, and then the melons should eventually take over. Welsh onions still doing well as always. So this is where the yellow potato onions were and where the rutabaga was going to seed. Those seeds have been harvested at this point. I need to finish processing them. The yellow potato onions are drying down. So there are a few parsnips left here, but this row was mostly elephant garlic, and that elephant garlic has all been harvested. I did take a little video footage of the elephant garlic harvest. I can put it together if you want to see it. Just leave a comment below if you think that I should post it. So these are some strawberries that I am propagating out in a container. Hopefully next spring I'll have enough plants that I can get a decent crop of strawberries. Figs, these are new figs this year. They're growing pretty well. I think somewhere along here I saw, yeah, right there, there's like one fig on this plant. They won't produce much until second year at least. Jicama, still alive, not doing much. Watermelons and weeds. There is one spot over here, and the watermelon is not flowering heavily. You can see like a flower there, but there is, let's see, yeah, there's one little watermelon right there. So it is coming along. Blackberries, these are gradually ripening. Let's see, yeah, there's some. Those are not very good. There's a nice one. I need to come out here and pick these. They are sending up next year's growth, which I have topped out to get it to branch out some. Also got lots of figs forming in here. So I'll have plenty of figs this fall. Now this Cushaw squash, there is definitely something going on with this. I think it's probably a viral disease, but you can see how the leaves are kind of distorted and have a little bit of yellow to them. Could be fungal, but I think it's probably viral. They're pretty heavily affected, and they're not going to do well this year, I don't think. I'm just sort of letting them grow and do their thing. Some of the growth is a little more robust and is doing better. I do have a little bit of fruit forming in a few places, but it's not much. So over here, this place was getting pretty heavily grown up in weeds, and I had to come in here and I cleared it out yesterday. Pretty unpleasant to do weeding in the hot sun, but we've got some bush beans that aren't doing very much. They've been overwhelmed with weeds and not really well taken care of. I need to get in here and do something with them. Grain sorghum, lima beans, similar story but not quite as bad as the bush beans. More grain sorghum. Cantaloupes. I am getting some fruit here on the cantaloupes. The vines are a little smaller than I would expect, but they are producing some fruit and they're getting bigger. Roselle hasn't set flowers yet. It will need to set flowers within the next maybe 6 weeks or so if I'm going to get anything off of it. Cucumbers, I've been getting probably 2 or 3 pounds of cucumbers off of this little patch of vines right here every day. They're pretty small cucumbers. Let's see. There's one right there that's about ready. So they're little pickling cucumbers, but they are okay for fresh eating. And this is the first okra that I planted. I need to come out here and harvest it. You have to harvest okra pretty much every day. That pod's about ready. And then last on this tour, the rhubarb. It still looks pretty good, but a close examination does kind of show that it's suffering from the heat. One of the 5 plants in that patch has actually died. It was the smallest one though, so it doesn't really affect the appearance of the patch. Hopefully I can keep the rest of it alive this year and maybe divide it late next winter. At least a couple of the larger plants. So anyway, that is the tour. I hope you enjoyed it. There's been a lot of growth this month. If you want to see more growth, help out the channel. I'd love to see it grow some. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all the good stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.